Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Zymax, and I'm your chief show attendant. On behalf of the two hosts and the rest of the crew, welcome aboard Weird Wednesday Flight number 13, non-stop, from your current location to parts unknown. Our flight will be of about 2 hours, and we'll be flying at the speed of sound. At this time, make sure your seat backs and tray tables are in their full upright position, and that your seatbelt is currently fastened. Enjoy the ride.
That creeps me out right there.
What's happening, everybody? How's it going? Welcome to another Weird Wednesday episode. How's everybody in the chat room doing tonight? A few people coming in. We got a couple of special guests tonight from a town, I think it's called St. Augustine, Florida. Hey. This is Steve and Heather that's with us here.
Hey, guys.
Hey, everybody.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. And Jamie up there in the corner. So, how's it going, everybody? It's another weird Wednesday, and it's another weird world that we're living in. So, it's not too hard to find weird stories because there's a lot of weird stuff happening everywhere.
2020 especially.
Yeah, it's a hell of a year. I don't know if it's going to get better or worse. I don't know.
I'm just glad it's going by so fast.
Yeah, exactly.
It's clipped by pretty quick. Looking for 2021.
Yeah. Hopefully things will get better.
But enjoy the rest of the ride while we're here, right?
Yeah, that's about all you can do. Maybe you want to fasten your seatbelt, but
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, that intro is great, by the way, Rob. That's really cool. That one picture I commented to Heather though with the blue, that really freaked me out. That's really a good picture. I like that.
Yeah, I kind of like Halloween.
Oh, absolutely.
Hey, Samantha.
Samantha has a new baby.
Oh, yes. A beautiful new baby.
That's really cool.
Precious.
And she's actually home tonight and not in baby prison at the hospital.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I think it's a big sleep.
Kicked her out. Or she escaped. I'm not sure.
One of the two.
Awesome.
But yeah, we got a couple of, the typical Weird Wednesday weird stories and a little video, the Legends and Lore video. And then we're going to talk to Steve and Heather, and they're going to tell us what they got going on. And we'll talk some ghost stories and different weird stuff from around town here. I've been on several ghost adventures with Heather before.
Absolutely.
We've seen some weird stuff. Let's see if I can find it now. See, this is where, it all starts going to hell. here's the first one. This is like Jamie and me were talking earlier. She's got the fires going on out there in California. And, we got hurricanes here. So it's like, everybody has their own little thing, no matter where they live. Sometimes it's tornadoes. Sometimes it's hurricanes, earthquakes. We got alligators, snakes, and insects that'll kill you.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah. But this one, let me see if I can get it up on the screen here.
Now, Rob, we look like we're stuck on a comment.
Oh, yeah.
It faded out dark and we can't see the screen. So I just wanted to make sure we see what you're doing.
It should pop up. There we go.
Yeah, we still have a comment like bar across the bottom. We can't see. Everything else is like shadowed dark.
There it goes. It just
There they go.
changed.
There we go. There we go.
Yay.
Yeah, this is another thing. Like, it comes up in the news here, but we have it every year. It's, funky stagnant water in Florida, and people go swimming in it, and they get brain-eating amoebas. And you guys see that rattlesnake that keeps showing up. It's the 15-foot rattlesnake. It just made its appearance again, I think, yesterday.
He's been all over.
Yeah, and it slowly
For
gets
real?
bigger. No, well, I mean, a lot of people think it's real, but rattlesnakes don't get that big.
I know.
Yeah.
I was gonna say is like a big ass gopher snake or.
Yeah, no, it's like that forced perspective thing.
Rattlesnake
Big,
are
big
16.
snake, but not 15 feet of big.
No.
Right.
No, God help us if there's a 15-foot rattlesnake.
Yeah. It's like when I moved in here, we built this house and it was all woods, and a lot of my neighbors are like totally freaked out about snakes. So I'm the snake guy. They always call me to come get the snake, and they're freaking out about the snakes. And I'm like, well, snakes have been living here for a long time, and we tore the woods up and built a house. So
Yeah. True. We're in their territory.
yeah,
We got big snakes.
exactly.
Our house in Atlanta, we had king snakes. Our neighbor brought in king snakes because we had quite a few rattlesnakes around.
Yeah,
Brought in some big 6-foot king snakes. They took care of it pretty well.
yeah.
Nice. We had a lot of rattlesnakes up here in the hills, and then we had even bigger gopher snakes that helped keep it under control. One guy went out. I was so mad though. He's like, I just caught like this 5-foot long rattlesnake. I'm like, no, you didn't. What'd you do? And he's got this big, beautiful gopher snake. I'm like,
No.
jackass.
Yeah. Poor snake.
Laura said she's freaking out in Arizona. Stop talking about snakes.
Yeah, walking around barefoot. Stop talking. Yeah, Jason on Paranormal Soup, he's like deathly afraid of snakes. He's like, I'm never coming to your house. Fair enough. Well, the brain-eating amoeba. One person in Hillsborough County has been infected with a potentially lethal amoeba that can cause brain tissue damage, according to Hillsborough County Health Department release on Friday. I'm going to butcher this name, but the Naegleria fowleri is sometimes referred to as the brain-eating amoeba. I'd go with that name. The microscopic single-celled living amoeba is usually found in ponds, rivers, lakes, and warm freshwater environments. It can lead to primary amoebic, another word that I'm not even going to attempt to say, a rare infection that can result in the destruction of brain tissue and is often fatal. The Health Department news release did not disclose the water body involved. Yeah, don't tell everybody where the water is.
Yeah, exactly.
They didn't identify the person, or the infected person, or the condition of them. The infection occurs when the amoeba enters through the nose, through contaminated water, and travels to the brain. Its peak season is July through August. So, don't go swimming in stagnant ponds.
Stagnant warm water.
Yeah, stagnant warm water.
Now, is this the same amoeba that is the flesh-eating disease? Is that the
No,
same?
that's a different one.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I actually have a friend that got that beginning of summer, and it was pretty nasty.
Yeah, it's all scary. Growing up, we swam in every pond, lake, you can imagine, and never thought about a second thought about it, but then you hear this and it's like really freaky.
Yeah, I know. It's like, is the amoebas getting stronger, or were we just stronger as kids? Because
I think it's because we started out outside, ate dirt and everything else.
yeah,
Exactly.
Maybe had a little
Over
more-
purelled.
yeah,
Yeah, maybe that's it.
yeah. I
I
had
guess we don't know how old we are, but
Yeah.
drink from the water hose, and it just, I don't know. That's crazy scary.
Yeah, I have like a crazy cousin that he's no longer living. That's how crazy he was. But yeah, he would come by my old shop and like he's like, "Hey, you got any water for my dog?" And this old dusty bowl, and we'd like put some water in it, and he'd start drinking out of it. And he's like, "Yeah, I got to test the old immune system."
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sounds like he tested it one too many times.
Keep it going.
yeah, he did. He's a whole.
And he doesn't like coyotes. Need to move to North Georgia. We had coyotes all over the place up there.
Yeah.
You'd hear them at night.
Yeah. Wasn't that coyotes that when I was talking to you like a couple nights back, Jamie? Was it coyotes or what was it?
That you could hear.
Yeah.
Coyotes.
Yep.
It's really creepy when they get to all kind of cackling together.
Or they get a hold of something.
Yeah.
They all start
You
screaming.
know they're hunting. So creepy.
Go into a frenzy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, speaking of weird amoebas and other stuff, Jamie has an interesting story here too. Kind of along the same lines, but a little different.
Yeah, kind of, but not. So there was a man who was feeling drunk even though he didn't drink any alcohol. The 47-year-old man had gut fermentation syndrome, also known as brewery syndrome, ABS. This rare condition involves excessive fungal growth in the gut, which feeds on carbs and then fuels ethanol production. Oftentimes, ABS is linked to an excessive amount of yeast in the gut. Clinicians tried putting the patient on a low-carb diet and, of course, antifungals, but signs of intoxication persisted, according to a case study. And the intoxication was so chronic that the man even lost his driver's license after a random police check. Clinicians then looked for fecal microbiota transplantation, or in other words, a poop transplant.
Oh.
Bacteria in the feces was transferred into the patient's small intestine. The transplant came from the man's 22-year-old daughter, and his symptoms resolved, at least until his most recent follow-up at 34 months. The authors of the report said the case is believed to be the first successful treatment of a patient with chronic gut fermentation syndrome by using a poop transplant. Fecal transplants should be considered in similar cases, researchers said. Those with diabetes, cirrhosis, or people who've had digestive tract surgery are at higher risk for autobrewery syndrome because of the fungus feeds off elevated blood sugar, the outlet reported.
A poop transplant.
Crazy.
That's
I wonder
weird.
if that will solve like diverticulitis. That's another intestinal issue. That's crazy.
That is.
Yeah, my ex-husband had that, and that I think was little things would get stuck in like the stomach lining, like little seeds and things.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get holes or pockets, I guess, from leaky gut is what that's from.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Strange treatment.
That's
Yeah.
Yes.
So his daughter helped with the poop transplant.
Hey,
Whatever works.
family and friends. What are they for, right?
Exactly.
I have a poop transplant. Can I borrow some of your poop? Yeah. I was looking for weird stories earlier, and I saw the one about, the world's most expensive cup of coffee, the one that some cat eats these coffee beans and then poops them out. And I'm like, yeah, I love coffee, but not that.
Not that.
Isn't there an elephant version of that as
I
well?
think
Wait,
there is,
what?
yeah.
Yeah, there's an elephant version of that where they feed them the coffee beans, they poop them out, and they recycle them.
Yeah. Then
Yeah.
they roast them and make coffee out of pooped coffee beans.
Who comes up with
No.
this stuff?
Oh yeah, it's real. It's real.
Is it like a delicacy or something?
Yeah, it's not fake news.
Yeah, no. I'm definitely not a delicacy person, I guess.
Yeah, me either.
We're really bored with coffee. What can we do to create something that's new?
Exactly.
I don't know how that came to mind.
Yeah. All right, we got one more little video here to continue our weird legends and folklore stories. And then we're going to start talking about ghosts and stuff.
Tonight's Legends and Lore story comes from Legends of America, and it's the Hell Dogs of the El Dorado Canyon. Man per man and mile per mile, El Dorado Canyon has a wider range of historical events than anywhere in the Wild West. This rich history, coupled with the turbulent events taking place in El Dorado Canyon in the 19th century, has led to numerous ghost stories of dead miners, Indians, and pioneers who once roamed the area. However, some of the most fascinating are the ghostly tales of canine spirits. Reportedly, during the rowdy mining days, many of the prospectors kept dogs at their claim sites to protect their property. Reared to attack at the slightest trespass by strangers, the dogs were often extremely vicious. Man's best friend, or not. Many of these dogs were shot, left chained at the claim site to die, or released into the wild when the gold played out and the miners left the area. Over the years, numerous tales of sightings of these many spectral hounds have been told by exploring visitors and locals alike. A few even tell of being attacked by these ferocious canine apparitions. One story told the Shadowlands website describes two brothers who were compelled to test the validity of the canine tales. Exploring the area, they soon found an old mine shaft where they noticed an ancient weathered chain embedded into the rock wall near the entrance. Entering the old mine, they came upon a pile of bones that appeared to be those of a large dog. As the sun was quickly setting, they determined to camp near the mine shaft. Sitting around a small campfire, they listened to what sounded like coyotes yipping in the distance. Not alarmed, they ate their dinner around the fire until the men began to feel uneasy as the atmosphere changed, seeming thick and somehow changed. Before long, they heard the sounds of large dogs panting in close proximity, followed by low and hateful growls. With hair no doubt standing up on the back of their necks, they heard the sound of paws circling the campsite and scratching noises coming from the shaft where the chain was lying. Stealing a glimpse at the shaft, the chain began to move, seemingly being tugged away from the rock on the wall by an unknown force. As the pulling continued, harder each time, the brothers fumbled for their gear and stumbled to their feet. One of them pointed the flashlight toward the chain where the scratch marks and bloodstains could be seen on the rock. Suddenly, the chain dropped, and one of the brothers felt something brush against his leg before both were frantically running towards their car. As they drove as fast as they could out of the canyon, they could hear wild panting and canine footsteps as a pack of invisible wild strays kept pace with them for several miles. Locals referred to the spectral hounds as the Hell Dogs of El Dorado Canyon. Have you ever seen them?
Oh no, the hellhounds are here.
I'm cool with that.
I think I saw a hellhound. I don't know if I told you that story before or not, but at the cemetery here about that crazy dog, when I went to visit my dad's grave a couple of times, and there's this big black dog. There's a tree right on the corner, little road, that goes around the graveyard, and my family's plot's right there. And I'd gone out there to see my dad a few times, and there's this big, gnarly, black, vicious dog like laying under the tree. And I'm kind of looking at it, and I got this weird vibe. And I go to get out of the car, and he like gets up and starts growling at me. And I'm like, okay, I'm not getting out of the car. And ended up leaving. And I came back like a week later, and the damn dog is still there. And he like 2 or 3 times I would go out there like a week or 2-3 weeks apart, and this dog would still be there. And yeah, I was like getting the hellhound vibe or something. I was like, man, is my dad pissed at me about something or what? Because the dog actually like came running over to the car the last time I was there. I'm like, okay, I'm done for a while. Haven't ever seen him since. So I don't know what that was all about. It did kind of freak me out a little bit though.
I've seen a lot of weird things, like different types of like full body apparition, shadows, all that, but never have I seen like any type of weird like animal type thing like dog or any of these crazy things I hear about.
Yeah. Well, Heather's got a picture of some kind of crazy animal that we'll probably see here in a little bit.
Yes, she does. That is a crazy one.
So anybody that's just joining, this is our guest tonight is Heather and Steve, and they're from A Night Among Ghosts, and they have several other things going here in town. And it's like I've always said, it's the premier ghost encounter tour in town, in my opinion. And I've been around a long time because I'm old. But yeah, there's a lot of crazy stuff in the town. And I've been on several ghost adventures with Heather, and she's definitely a spirit magnet. So I can't hear you guys.
There we go.
Can you hear? Okay, cool.
There we go.
That was weird. But yeah, we have a lot of fun. St. Augustine's a great spot for anything ghostly, and we've definitely had some encounters. The animal thing's kind of cool. We actually recently had a dog, kind of a wolf type dog, over at one of our locations we visit, which was really interesting, kind of ties in with your video there. But we've seen something along those lines a couple times at this location. And Steve actually saw it disappear one night, came up to the group of us. We could hear it, and he had a different vantage point, and it completely disappeared.
Yeah, it's always cool when you get a story and you can compare stories from 2 different vantage points. And there's a road by this particular area that we investigate quite often. But from the moonlight, had a guy in the van with me. We were talking, waiting on Heather investigating and all. And this white dog just starts walking down the road towards where they are. And it had a little bit of you could tell it had a little bit of looking like a shoulder type collar. So it looked more like a wolf.
Yeah.
It walked and kind of swayed a little bit, went right up to him, and right as it got to him, it vanished. But from their perspective, they heard it coming. They heard it walking. They couldn't see it, but they heard it coming to them.
Yeah.
And the interesting part of that is we had a guest on tour catch what we believe is a native Indian with a wolf headdress.
Wow.
On. So we don't know if that was him, if the two are tied together, but that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty neat instance. And then I've got a photo I can share with you guys. Let me get this pulled up. So this was the lighthouse area, right?
Yeah.
So here we go. You guys have to bear with me. No pun intended. So this is what we call our ghost bear. Let me pull this up for you guys. Is that shared?
Yep.
Yes.
There we go. And this was at a little bit of ways from the Lighthouse Park area,
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah, there's an area that is part of the old coquina quarries. Coquina is kind of our native shellstone that a lot of the structures are built out of. And we were in there one night investigating and got this picture. strange thing is, we never heard anything. Definitely, I always say, don't believe it was a live bear, because I don't think any of us would have made it out of there.
Yeah.
But we've kind of dubbed him the ghost bear. And I know, Rob, you've actually encountered this creature as well. So
Yeah, that was like, yeah, I had no idea that Heather had this picture, and there's one of my Weird Wednesday videos where I was at the lighthouse like 3:30 in the morning or so, and I'm sitting in my truck running the ghost box, and just, no big deal. I was getting a few weird things, and you know how it is at the lighthouse, like it gets to a certain hour and things kind of change.
definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was right at about that hour that things started to change, and I started seeing like shadows and stuff, and and I'm sitting there thinking, okay, I'm seeing things, and then you can see in the video, I'm like, I'm trying to be cool, but it actually scared the crap out of me.
I hear you.
But I was trying to be cool, but I see something run like right in front of my truck. And I mean, I saw it. There was no doubt in my mind that at that point that I saw something. And then after that, I started seeing all kinds of shadow things, and I'm thinking, I don't know what's real and what's not now. But
Yeah.
yeah, then I was talking to Heather, I don't know, a week or two later, and I was telling her the story, and she was like, did it look anything like this? And she brought that picture up, and I'm like, that's it. That's what I saw. So yeah, I mean, 2 separate occasions.
Yeah.
And I didn't get a picture of it, but yeah, I mean, that's definitely resembles exactly what I saw.
Yeah, it's definitely out there, whatever it is, whether it's bear or whether it be skinwalker or who knows, but it's definitely it's interesting.
Yeah. Now we know of a third photograph of that as well.
Really?
We know of a person that has a third photograph. The one they have, the bear seems to be on all 4s.
Yeah. When I saw it, it kind of, it looked like, I mean, at first I thought it was a dog or something, but it was way too big to be. It was a big ass dog if it was a dog.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, it looked like a bear. It was kind of hunched and like ran in front of me. And then I was seeing stuff that was standing up like that, kind of off to the right of me and everything. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna wrap it up and I'm out of here.
Yeah.
I don't usually get freaked out, but that night it kind of got to me.
Absolutely. That area has a way of doing that.
Yeah.
Just like you said, really quickly.
Yeah.
The person that has the third picture, was it taken around the same spot where you saw that one?
In the same general area.
Yeah, it's another tour guide that we know of, different company, but they shared it with us once they saw ours, and it definitely looked to be the same thing. Much too large to be a bear in Florida. Typically we don't get huge bears, and we don't see a lot of them in our area.
Yeah.
But it definitely was on all 4s like that, and looked like the same type of thing. So, yeah.
Yeah. Remember the night we were at over in the San Sebastian Pinehurst Cemetery
with the guy showing the spirit guy walking to us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We all saw it, and we're just like,
yeah.
That's the night that I was in the car. My phone was about to die. We got out there. My phone drained really quick. I went back to the car because I needed to get in touch with the kids, make sure we could still get in touch with them. And as I'm sitting in the car, phone charging up, starting to text, all I see is blurs coming by me, and everybody starts piling into the car at one time. And she's just like, no, let's just go.
yeah.
It was weird because it started out normal size to, what a guy would be. And I mean, as he walked closer, he definitely got taller and larger, and that's not a guy.
Yeah.
Hell no. You're running over the car too.
I mean, I thought it was, a person or, some crazy crackhead or something, like, charging us. I was
exactly.
Like, it was weird.
Yeah, that was definitely a crazy night.
But it's always, cool when there's somebody else there that sees it too, and we weren't talking about it. We weren't even thinking about it. It just happened. And we were all like, did you just see,
That
Exactly.
extra validation.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Are you seeing what I'm seeing?
Yeah.
Because what the hell am I seeing?
Yeah. Yeah. I was sitting there like, messing with the ghost box, and I'm thinking, well, it got awful quiet. And I look over and Heather's looking at me and she's like, yeah, it was weird.
Yeah, that place is another one that is definitely
Yeah.
strange from time to time.
Yeah. Yeah. I had some bad experiences there. Like anytime I would go over to the right side of that cemetery, I would like instantly like get nauseous or dizzy or something, and like, to the point of like barfing sometimes. And
Yeah, that's never fun.
yeah, it was weird. It was weird.
A lot of energy over there. A lot of strange energy. That's for sure.
Yeah. And I don't know. I think I have a couple of pictures from there. I have no idea. I couldn't pull them up at the moment, but I did get a couple of really weird pictures, and I had some sort of weird attachment that I think came from that place. Something there just did not like me, and like Sam and me would go there, and we were always picking up trash and talking, and like never went there with bad intent or anything.
Right.
And I'm like, man, what why don't they like me?
What did I do?
What did I do? Yeah, I was like confused, but yeah, I had some kind of weird attachment that it was pretty bad on me for a couple of months, and finally got rid of it. We Sam and me went down there one time, and I just had like pretty much a heart-to-heart talk with him, and said, you guys gotta cut the crap, man.
Yeah. It takes, just stand your ground.
Yeah, and you kind of feel strange sitting there, talking like anybody sees you, they're gonna think, woo, did he just escape the loony bin? But yeah.
Yeah. Paranormal, we all look crazy at times.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's all good.
But when you get out with the evidence, that's what really makes it amazing.
Yeah.
See some of the things you see. A few people mentioned, hey, Doreen. I wanted to say we saw her pop up, said, hey, Steve.
Yeah.
But no, Heather being a magnet. A lot of times it's some of the things we've seen. We've been together since '96, and now we're telling our age.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've seen just some amazing things. I joke around all the time and tell people I'm from a normal family. I didn't grow up with all the spirits and that type of thing, but just it's absolutely amazing some of the stuff we've done and seen through the years.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm always, I still have that skeptic in me. Every once in a while, I'm like, it's ghost hunt. I mean, paranormal. It's kind of like fishing. It doesn't happen every time you go out. Sometimes you get, just nothing happens. Ghost hunting can be really cool, or it can be really boring.
Absolutely.
I was gonna say on tour we always talk about it like fishing.
Yeah.
You're fishing because you love it. You know the spots to go to. You learn the spots to go to over the years, and you go because you enjoy it. You catch a fish.
Yeah.
So that much better. Same thing with ghosts.
Yeah, they're never at our beck and call, that's for sure. So.
Yeah, exactly.
So what is one of your when you think about like the best story or the best thing that you've seen or witnessed, what would that be?
Personally seen?
I was going to say it's kind of one of those things where there's been so many that I guess we kind of typically categorize it into what is the creepier, what is the stranger, what is the, this.
Well, what scared the hell out of us?
Yeah, that kind of thing. So there's been a lot of different instances that, really kind of stand out. Probably if we're going with the.
Over a lifetime or over, since we've been in business, since we've, what customers or guests have seen. I mean, my, I don't have as many obviously as Heather, but my favorite was the night I got to see Molly. And we've got a few pictures of Molly, but I got to see her outright. Let me pull some of this stuff up.
She's a little one that we've been visiting with for goodness, about 6.5 years, maybe almost 7 now. And when we first met Molly, it was she and her cousin James. And Molly's 10, James is 7. But they both passed from the flu in 1904. And they lived in an area around the St. Francis Inn, which is pretty famous here as far as hauntings and such. And so we met them over at St. Francis Park. And through the years, we built up a strong connection. James eventually crossed over about 3 years ago. We don't hear from him any longer, but Molly has definitely kind of stuck around, and she's done a lot of interesting things. Steve's going to pull up and share a couple of pictures with you guys, and then we even have a video where she plays. She's actually moved things time and again. We get responses. We play hide and seek with her, charades, duck, duck, goose. I mean, it sounds crazy, but we do all sorts of games and things to entertain Molly and the little ones when we're out there. But
yeah, what's really cool is like the interactive games. That sounds crazy. When we mention it to guests before the tour starts, they look at us like we're from Mars. But it's really neat to see them say a number. You're holding up how many fingers, they say a number, or a color of a glow stick, or a color. And we even know what their favorite colors are at this point. So through the investigations, through spirit boxes, it's really cool.
It's like you're developing a connection with them. It takes it to more of a personal level than just seeing a shadow move or something like that. You're interacting with them. They're interacting with you. You're literally reaching over, to the other side and
absolutely
it's really neat.
Playing together. I think that's just so awesome.
Yeah, it's really neat too, and you get to know them as what they would have been as a person. And the way we always approach that is they're people too. You don't ever approach it as I'm here, you're there. It's more of, hey, what are we up to tonight, guys? When we introduce ourselves, we just like you would to anyone else. And I think that brings a comfort level to them as well.
Absolutely.
Knowing their history, knowing, asking things about them other than, how'd you die? That's really a question we never ask. We either assume that that's going to come up at some point. You wouldn't ask somebody else how'd they die. You wouldn't ask a person you just met, how'd you die? Just how would you treat a person is really how we approach it.
Yeah.
But speaking of hide and go seek, let me show you this right here. This is really neat. So this was by Danielle.
Yes, right? Yes. So this was a guest, Danielle, on tour. We'll show you a couple pictures of Molly, and then Steve can kind of share his favorite experience. But this was taken August 18th of 2017. So we're actually, a day after the anniversary of this photo.
Yeah.
So Danielle, from what I remember, she was a 19-year-old tour guest, if I'm not mistaken, at the time. Molly really enjoyed their company. And so we started playing hide and seek. The house you're going to see in the picture there is the St. Francis Inn. That, as far as we know, is where Molly actually lived and where she passed in 1904. And so we're, setting everybody up to play hide and seek. We've got the children there ready to go. And we send our guest out to start taking pictures and looking for our spirit friends. And Danielle actually found Molly. So we'll show you where she is real quick, and we'll kind of tell you what's really interesting about this picture.
Yeah. This is, there's St. Francis. And they're playing hide and go seek. So how do you play hide and go seek with a spirit? Hey, guys, go hide. I'm going to start taking some pictures, see if I can find you. So Molly decided to hide. And anybody see her yet? I'm just curious in the comments. Rob, I know you've got it. Tim, you've got it. Doreen, you've probably got it. But I'm just curious if anybody sees that. But I'll stop the suspense. Here she is right here. So this pole is in the park. It's chopped down to about 2.5 feet. But if you can see right above it, Molly has actually climbed the pole. And there's her head leaning out from the side. She's got her arms wrapped around. And her legs, people say her legs look a little funny, but that's actually part of her dress that's bundled up around her as she's climbing that pole.
She's being ladylike. She's got that dress tucked around her.
Oh, trip out.
Yeah. But in her realm, the pole is obviously still fully intact. It was a light fixture from what we can tell, I guess, but it's chopped down and it's a memorial to someone now, which is kind of interesting. But But yeah, she's definitely there hiding, and she let our guest Danielle get that pic, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
That is so cool. Gives me like happy goosebumps.
Yeah, that's really a great catch.
Yeah.
It really is. And, you know, a lot of people tend to think that when you investigate, everything has to be quiet, everything has to be at night, everything, you know, has to be just so. But if you notice in this photograph, there's a car driving by.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, it really happens all the time. You know, it's whether or not you're paying attention.
Yeah. I've noticed sometimes it's like when you don't have some of the craziest stuff has been when I wasn't even expecting to see it. Didn't have any equipment, of course, don't have a camera, but you know, I have the memories of it. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
They wanted to say hello. They wanted you to know they were there. So
exactly.
You know, and it's those moments too, when we're on tour. That's one thing that Heather does really well is she never leads the investigations. You guys have been out with her before, you know, she never leads those investigations. She lets you enjoy the moments. And that's really what's cool. You know, people always ask about evidence. Yeah, we've got a great amount of evidence, but there's just that much more that's actually happened that we couldn't catch. You know, that you have to live in the moment for sure.
Yeah.
now this is another one we thought we'd share with you guys, and then we could kind of share another instance or two with Molly. But this one was a guest photo taken on tour, and this was pretty cool. This was our ghost walk. We do an investigative tour, and then seasonally around Halloween and around Nights of Light season here, we do a ghost walk as well. And it's non-investigative, but it just kind of breaches the thought processes and a lot of history and ghostly history and that kind of thing. So it's earlier in the evening. City's definitely very busy at that time. We try to kind of, you know, away from the crowds. And we had a tour guest named Elena. And this was taken December 29th of 2018. But this is Molly. It had rained the night before. We had puddles kind of here and there. And this is again in St. Francis Park. And you'll kind of see the misty, you know, stuff within there. But then we noticed right underneath this really strong kind of bit of what we thought might be an energy band, we see a little hair bow. Don't know if you guys can see that yet. But there's pretty cool little hair bow. And her dark hair.
Back of her head. And she's actually, looks like she's starting to lift up her dress maybe to walk over a puddle. You see the hair?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Her little shoe poking out.
And there's the back of her shoe.
The back of her dress. So that was a pretty cool catch. At this point, we have, I think, 6 different photos of Molly. So
May even be 7 at this point.
yeah, maybe 7. We have another one that's a possibility, but she's definitely a frequent visitor. So it's always kind of cool.
Yeah.
So you were going to
really
share
cool.
your.
Well, you know, and she's been around quite a bit. All 3 of our boys have actually seen her at home.
Yeah.
From time to time. So it's definitely interesting. She's actually gone with us to other events. We've gone to some other events and she showed up. There's we do the Ann Stevens house in Casadega quarterly. And there's a little girl there. Marjorie, that is a spirit resident of the house. And we actually caught her and Molly the first time they met. They had a little bit of a friction there, just like little kids would. But you could hear it over the spirit box, over talking about dolls. And the second time we went out there, they seemed to be a little better with each other. And then we've actually caught them playing together on the spirit box. You could hear them talking back and forth.
Wow.
Just phenomenal.
Yeah.
Everybody here okay there before we move on?
Do you guys have these pictures on your website or like your Facebook page?
They're definitely on the Facebook page. We are redoing refreshing a lot of our website stuff. So our gallery is not up there, but definitely on our Facebook page is a good spot. So,
and we like to share them from time to time and not really leave them up completely. That way they're a little more fun. You know, and we do that on Facebook, Instagram, that kind of thing. If you guys want to join up and keep up with us. But a lot of guest captures, Yeah. You know, that's another thing about once we move into the tour version of this, we never really get evidence anymore because we're more concerned with the clients, with the guests, trying to make sure they have a good time. So it's hard for us we haven't had a capture in probably a little while.
Yeah,
So-
when we want to go out and investigate, a lot of times we'll go out with, well, of course, with you guys or something of that nature, but on tour, it's the focus is definitely on our guests. So
Yeah.
we always say, we don't do the dowsing rods, we don't do the pendulums, we don't do the pictures because, of course, if the guide gets something, then it feels very forced. And so we've tried to play by the rule that it's more fun for our guests if they're the ones, obviously, that get the activity and stuff. So
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things they really like, and Heather does really well on the tour is letting them live the experiences.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Now,
And then you're there if they need help with something to assist them.
absolutely.
absolutely, and it's funny too because some nights, and it all depends on the group. If we've got a really active group, whether skeptic or not, we're never really scared of skeptics. We love skeptics. Skeptics are fun because you flip them, and it's just an amazing night. And we have flipped quite a few that have come in the door just hardcore skeptic, and before they left, it's funny. There's actually a couples version that we are trying to coin a term for, and you get a couple to show up, and it's typically her is the one that wanted to do it. He's the one being drug along, and he's got his arms like this the whole night.
Not having it.
When he comes in the door, but it's amazing when evidence or experiences start to happen to him, and then he realizes, well, then she gets upset, and then she's the one doing this ball. It's completely flipped by the end of the night, and that happens more times than you can imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot of fun.
It's
Yeah.
always fun getting to pop those pair of cherries for the first time too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, or you get the ones that start to run or start to move quickly, or you can see them, starting to make that pace. Hey, whoa, where are you going? What's the matter?
I did see something kind of cool. I think Debbie had commented that maybe Molly was looking for a marble. I think maybe that was towards the picture. It is kind of funny, Debbie, because we do actually have marbles that we carry around as trigger objects. So we actually have a whole little bag of marbles. And so you could be absolutely right on that. That's pretty cool. So
Yeah.
I saw that and thought that was pretty neat that,
Look how
to
talented
draw
she-
that. So
She's just multi-talented. She can do this and read and watch that all at the same time. I'm having trouble just sitting here.
Yeah. Debbie was down like towards New Smyrna, and she's been bugging me to come down there. She came up here and surprised me and saw my band play one night, and she's got some cool spots down around New Smyrna that we can make a trip down there, and she could take us to some cool places. I know she would agree to that.
yeah,
That'd be cool.
that'd be great. Especially my my fifth and sixth great grandfathers were Menorcan, and so my sixth great grandfather back was actually an indentured servant down in New Smyrna, where the ruins are. So that'd be really cool. I'd love to do that. That would
That'd be
be
neat.
fascinating to kind of see that. So
Yeah, the ruins are really cool.
Yeah.
You had mentioned, personal stories of things that we've seen or things that we've done, and we mentioned Molly, and you talk about two different perspectives. So we're on tour one night, and you guys have been on tour. You guys know Gypsy. Gypsy's on pause right now, but Gypsy's our tour van, 15-passenger van that we take on tour with us. But so I'm in Gypsy one night, and it's 1 o'clock or so, 1:30. And I'm over down by the Catholic church, the Catholic playground on the older part of St. George, right off of there. And Heather is around the corner at one of our sites that we investigate quite a bit, and have Molly and a gentleman we met by the name of Sam on the box. And Sam hangs out quite a bit. He's kind of a protector, kind of like I said, the protector of the group. But so Sam and Molly are on the box, and I'll let you tell your perspective of what's going on.
So from our end,
Well, I guess I'd have to tell my end first, because you would tell what happened. So
yeah.
yeah, sorry. So I'm in the van. I see someone run across the van, and I can tell it's child size. And it's, like I said, 1 o'clock, 1:30 in the morning. So as I look up, I see just this blur that goes by the van. Well, out of the corner of my eye in the passenger window, I see two little hands go up onto the rail, and this little face ears up over the window, big smile, big curls. I knew not to look directly at it because she would vanish. I knew exactly what what it was. And I was like, man, this is really cool. She smiled for a second, tilted her head, and then that was it. I had to look, and she was gone. So I thought, oh man, this is amazing. Had no idea, what it might be. So I'm getting out of there. As that happens, Heather rounds the corner, and you can start to see guests coming towards the van. I'm thinking, oh, this is great. I can't wait to tell her this. I get the guest, starting to get the guest in. She's walking up with the last guest, and I say, hey, you won't believe this. Well, before I can say anything, Heather says, did you see Molly? Now, I'll let you tell your perspective of what was happening.
So from our end, we usually, when we finish up a session at a location, we'll always ask for spirits whether they're going to go with us to our next spot. And so we kind of wait for, for each of them to respond. Sam, are you going to go with us to the lighthouse? And we'll wait for that yes or no, or well, maybe, or, that type of thing. And so that night, Sam, are you going with us to the lighthouse? And we get a yes. Okay, great. Molly, are you going with us to the lighthouse, sweetie? And we don't hear anything. And so I'm like, Molly, do you want to go with us, sweetie? Nothing. And so at that point I said, Sam, where'd Molly go? And she, as clear as day, said, oh, she went to the van with Steve. And at that point I was like, okay, that's kind of funny. Everybody, of course, is like, did he just say the van with Steve? And I'm like, yeah, he did. So we pack up. It takes us a few minutes and we start walking that way. And that's when we, see Steve, and he's out of the van. And, it just kind of is funny because we were expecting to kind of, hey, is Molly here with you? And never in a million years thought that, he had seen her. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, it was really neat to get that from two different perspectives.
Yeah.
Really neat.
I do have to say something real quick. Lori, I did see where you mentioned jewelry. It could certainly also be jewelry. We have these things we utilize on tour called medallions. And the medallions end up becoming the pendulum for each of the guests for the night. But it's a string with a jewelry piece. And so sometimes, we hand make the jewelry piece. Sometimes it's pieces of jewelry we found at estate sales. Sometimes it's things we find at Michael's or Hobby Lobby or who knows where, but they're tied onto the string. And so we tied them on the person, each of the people tied on there. And we typically say put at least 3 knots in it. And so our spirits, they know that those are there for their purpose, and they're allowed to remove them from our guest. And so it's a game that we play with them. If they remove the jewelry item, then they get to keep it because they put the work in. And so we've had many different jewelry pieces removed over the years. Our current record is 6 knots removed, which is pretty impressive. But Molly is very adept, and she has actually earned several jewelry pieces over the years. And her doll forever actually wore one of the pieces that she earned. So that's pretty cool. That could definitely be a possibility too. So
yeah, that's pretty cool. And nothing is the better sound in the world. You're on the old St. Augustine streets and bricks in the middle of the night, and all of a sudden you hear a metal piece tink onto the bricks a couple of times, and somebody stops and goes, that was my medallion. And they have this scared voice about it. And what happened? Well, somebody untied it. Yeah. We've had them actually untied as fast as getting into the van, heading to the first location. Yeah. And she was 90.
She was 94.
Yes.
A really sweet guest. I mean, she was a fireball, and she was all about it. But we got in the van and we're headed out to our first location. And she, when we start to get out, she's like, I can't find my medallion. And we're like, okay, that's kind of strange. And sure enough, it was underneath the van seat. But she had put, I think she said she had tied 4 knots on it. So that was pretty impressive as well.
And that was actually even on her wrist.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things we tell people, hey, be mindful of not putting it on your wrist. But when she was riding in the van, she was propped up on the seat. So her wrist was still just sitting there the entire van ride. So somebody had plenty of time to untie that.
Wow.
So, yeah, those are pretty neat. And we also use glow sticks on tours.
Glow sticks have been kind of fun too, because they're bright and they're kind of fun for the children especially. So
the glow sticks really started out as a way that we could keep up with our guests. We go to some dark areas, we
go woodsy sometimes. Rob can attest to that. We definitely don't always stay on the beaten path. So the glow necklaces kind of help us keep up with everybody.
Yeah, that's how it started out. And then we realized that they actually liked them and would start playing with them. We've had ones untied. The best story there is 8 knots removed and dropped that glow stick. Now that happened in front of 24 guests. Normally our tours are only 13 or so. The reason why we do that is it makes it a little more intimate. You tend to get a little better activity. People can get to know each other, but this was a group of Boy Scouts. And so it was Boy Scouts parents and leaders, and there was about 24 to 26 of them. 3 of us guides on tour that night just to handle the size, hold the speakers. She had a mic, everything. It was really great. And we're at our 3rd or 4th location, and this group is standing there kind of panned out down the sidewalk, everybody listening intently, and this glow stick drops. This gentleman 3rd from the end, glow necklace drops to the ground. No one notices it. And I'm looking and I'm waiting for somebody to kind of see it. Nobody sees it. And I mentioned to Heather, hey, look over here. And everybody looks and they look down and they see the glow necklace. Well, it was funny. The kids this was the granddad of the group. He was one of the scout leaders. And so everybody notices it. Well, the 4 kids that are right around him, everybody takes a giant 2 steps away.
Yeah, it's
from
like
him.
the parting of the sea. Like, nope, get away.
But that glow necklace fell straight to the ground. It was really cool. And he had 8 knots tied in that. And he was a scout leader, so I know he knows how to tie a knot.
Yeah, exactly.
That was neat.
Yeah, and it was yellow. So we think, Molly's favorite color we found out through the years is yellow. So we don't know if that was her, but we kind of, maybe that was Molly. That was
Yep. Now, Sam, we met in the St. Francis area as well. His favorite color is red. And it's unfortunate we only get that a couple times a year. 4th of July, New Year's is when we can actually get a hold of the red. So that's his favorite color. So it's pretty neat to get to know them in those manners as well.
Yeah.
We've got speaking of glow sticks and Molly, I don't know if you want to do it after the break so everybody comes back, but we've got a video of Molly actually in an interaction with a kid on tour. That video was called.
Yeah. Is that the one that you showed me?
Yes.
That's pretty mind blowing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the best video captures I think to date.
it's so hard to catch them on video. Typically we found a lot of times when those cameras kind of come out, things halt a little bit. So.
Yeah, and I can only attest that it might be that they are shy. They don't know what you're doing. All of a sudden, you're getting a camera out and all this, electronic disruption of what's going on and what they're used to being around it. I'm sure it may startle them a little bit. So it's really hard to get those video captures.
Yeah.
Unless you're on a still camera or, you see several on security cameras. Everybody gets used to those being around. But when you go to whip out a camera with something happening, usually it drops. So this lady was very quiet and mindful of how she was videoing as to not disrupt what was going on. So
yeah,
it's a really cool video.
Yeah, that's another thing too. I've been, everybody talks about how, spirits or whatever can drain your batteries and stuff. And, I've been out there, like at the lighthouse, for instance. I was there one night and I've got, ghost box stuff that's running on battery. I've got cameras that are running on batteries. I've got an electric cigarette that's running on batteries.
Yeah.
Everything that I had all went dead like within minutes, like everything.
Yeah.
Like my phone even everything went dead. And I'm like, how do you explain that? I can see, your batteries run out in this or whatever.
Absolutely.
But like, across the board, every electronic device I had was dead.
Yeah, it's crazy. We had an instance, I think it was back in it was February actually of this year. And we had a lot of interesting energy in our REM pod. We actually went through 3 9-volt batteries within about a 5-minute, maybe 5 to 8 minute period.
Wow.
Put a fresh one in, it would, just kind of start going crazy and drain the next battery. By the time we got to the 4th battery, it calmed down, but that was pretty crazy to see.
Yeah, that was pretty neat. Yeah, you see that from time to time. Matter of fact, during the break, I will find a photo of a person who we caught the camera actually being drained in the camera frame.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
And her phone went down about 60 some odd % just in that flash. So it was really neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll pull that together. We'll find that.
Yeah. It's when stuff like that happens, coincidence is one thing, you can, chalk it up to, but like some stuff you just can't explain.
Absolutely.
No.
That's
It's
the cool
really-
stuff.
Yes.
Exactly.
That's really cool.
All right, we're going to take a short little commercial break, 3 or 4 minutes, and we'll be back. And yeah, you guys are going to want to see this video because it's pretty cool. So we will be back in just a minute.
This is Jason Bland, host of Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup, where we stream live as a webcast every Sunday night, 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern, with guests who will blow your mind. Live ghost box sessions where you can call into the show to see if the spirits will talk to you, and the World Wide Web of Weird with the latest in paranormal news and evidence. We're bringing the weird every Sunday night, 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. Don't forget to follow and subscribe.
Do you like rock and roll? Do you enjoy a good story? Wish You Were Here, A Rock Fantasy is a book inspired by Badfinger. It will not only entertain you, but intrigue you. What's it about? While Thomas is searching for his bandmate and friend in heaven, he meets an old friend and famous new ones in his afterlife voyage. Reader's favorite hails Wish You Were Here, A Rock Fantasy as a whimsical, speculative novel by author Joyce Isaacson. Midwest Book Reviews said, Wish You Were Here, A Rock Fantasy is a book inspired by Badfinger. It's a quirky story by Joyce S. Isaacson. It is a unique, original, and deftly crafted metaphysical novel that showcases the author's genuine flair for character and narrative-driven entertainment that is simply riveting from first page to last. Now available on pennantpublication.com. Also available on Amazon in paperback and hardcover. Also on Kindle Unlimited. So check it out now. Wish You Were Here, A Rock Fantasy.
The night is alive. Join us and take a walk on the weird side when you tune in to the Kingdom of Nye, hosted by Heather Wade, the finest in late night talk. Listen live free weeknights starting at 9 p.m. Pacific time at thekingdomofnye.com, talkstreamlive.com, and the Paranormal Radio app. Wanna take a ride?
Cool. We are back.
I made it just in time. You see me come running in at the last second?
Perfect time.
Sign in. Hey.
Cool.
We're pulling all this together now.
All right.
Yeah, I always have a folder here sitting on my desktop and have everything like right where I can find it. And then when I go to look for it, I can't find it.
Yeah, it's never just there. All right. So I guess you could do the video first. If you
Yeah,
want
let me
to.
try to pull this in now.
Okay.
Did you send it to that one?
Yeah, this one was one that we hadn't. I
hadn't
didn't
thought about
send
it.
to
Yeah,
him
we
to
hadn't-
share,
we
and
hadn't
then when
thought
we
about
talked
this
about drainage of batteries and such, then we're like, oh, we've got a really cool photo that
Try to
definitely fits with
Try
that.
to send that again. I'll talk about the other one.
Okay.
Hey, everybody. Flying by the seat of our pants here.
Yeah,
But how the conversation's going.
that's the best way to go.
Well, you know, it's not canned, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, I resent that. I will say I did see the debate about hair color for the girl, Molly. It is actually a light auburn. So, and the second picture, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was a night shot that uses more of that black and white filter. So she definitely looks a little lighter haired in that, but she definitely is kind of a light auburn.
Send the
Hair,
send the
so-
picture. Send the original picture over.
Yeah, I'll
here.
try to send another picture over real quick so you guys can see different picture of Molly. So
You're so good at catching those.
I don't know about that, but
All right, so the video we were talking about, again, we'll pull that together real quick while those other pictures are coming to me.
Have you guys been following the whole, the whole monument moving downtown debacle?
we have with our scavenger hunts that run during the day. A bunch of our scavenger hunters have been running into some of the different debates and the different, different demonstrations and such.
Yeah.
And it's just been been a little chaotic.
Have you heard the, I don't know, it's a rumor or whatever, but they're like finding artifacts and stuff, and some people are thinking they found bones down there.
I wouldn't be surprised. I really wouldn't. Because, the Loring Monument, the one that they're going after next, behind the government house, he's actually buried underneath that monument. So I could definitely see that.
Yeah.
That's really cool. All right, so this video, let's set this up for you real quick. So we've got 6 guests on tour. I'm sorry, I don't have this, and it's not going to dark mode for some reason. Let me see if we can pull it in here.
You lift it out towards
Here we go. This will be in dark mode, so let's share this one instead. There we go. Okay, so this is 6 guests on tour. It's 3 boys, 3 girls, and 2 moms, and they just had this amazing energy.
They really did.
They came and did the Ghost Walk the first night, and the next night they showed up. They had so much fun. They went out to do the investigative night. So this instance you're going to see here, this is, I think RH is how he wanted it listed.
Yeah, there's a lot of younger folks in the thing, so they definitely wanted to keep the names kind of a little more initialized. But they live in Florida, but they've been on tour with us twice since. This was a couple of years ago. This is up on YouTube. You guys want to catch it? You might can see where it's at there. It's under. We're getting it swapped over to our new Night Among Ghosts YouTube channel, but right now it's on our older one, the Haunted Travelers Company. You can find it on there, but like I said, we'll have it moved shortly. But these kids went on tour. We're over in one of the places we investigate, and all 3 boys are sitting on a bench. They're leaning over, so their glow necklaces are all hanging. The one on the end, the guy you see here in the frame, his glow necklace was spinning like a pendulum, just constantly. And he interrupts Heather. Hey, Heather, I feel all those spider webs you're talking about all over my neck. And this glow necklace is just, I can feel it like being tugged on. So Heather says, yeah, I believe you may have Molly there. Hey, Molly, that's you. Can you do me a favor? Can you stop the glow necklace from spinning? And so it comes to a halt. So they interact a little bit with it. And you can see the string right here on his neck. So that string, Heather asked Molly, hey, you think you could wiggle that string a little bit? And the string wiggles just a little. Well, at this point, luckily, the mom starts filming. And like I said, she was very quiet about it, very slow, moving about it, just to make sure she captured this without really disrupting anything. But what you're going to see the very moment it starts, you're going to hear Heather say, can you move that string up on his shoulder again? Something like that. Asking Molly to move it again. And then let's see what happens.
lift it out towards the shoulder again.
No way. Oh my God. That's unreal. That's unreal. That's unreal.
I love their reaction. She's still holding on to it there. She kind of drops it.
No, it's weird.
God.
This is so weird.
She's playing.
That's not real. That's not real.
Not real.
Oh my God, I have tears. I have tears. I have tears. I have tears. No chance. As soon as she said it, it flailed off to his arm. That's unbelievable.
Listen, you lift it out.
Yeah, that's just a great video. I'll let you guys see the beginning of that again. But
Towards the shoulder again.
What an awesome reaction.
Yeah.
I love that video.
And it was her favorite color, of course. So it's the yellow glow necklace there. But she definitely must have liked his energy. She was all about him. So
Yeah.
That was a great night. That really was. That was that crew. Like I said, it's all about the crews we get that come in at those nights. It's just energies like that. It's just off the chain. It's really, really neat. Everything lines up just right.
yeah, absolutely. His reaction was priceless. You know, we always tell people sometimes you have so many different reactions when something paranormal happens, and the tears. You know, there's been tours where sometimes I just all of a sudden I'm talking and I'll just kind of start bawling my eyes out. And I'm like, sorry guys, you know, I don't know what's going on here. But he has that reaction, you know, and he was like, I'm like, I have tears. I'm like, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, you know, we've been like down when the antique store was downtown and like doing things with the flashlight, you know, and like the one night, there's been a couple of nights, like the one night we were in the back room there and the flashlight was laying, you know, on the, I don't know, it was like on the steps or something, you know, and it's going on and off. You're asking questions, you know, some people are like, yeah, you know, I don't do the flashlight.
Yeah, whatever. Okay.
But then when the flashlight started turning, like,
yeah, that's when it's cool. When you get that movement in there, you're like, yeah.
And the one night that, you know, I had a flashlight up in the front of the store and it had been sitting there, and all of a sudden it just rolls across and stops.
Yeah.
And it's like it moved.
Absolutely.
And nobody was touching it that we could see.
Absolutely. Those are the things that are so amazing.
You know, we were able to capture that one time when the flashlight was rolling on the glass counter.
Yes.
Yeah.
We that on video. Unfortunately, it is in a phone that we have no idea at this point.
Yeah.
It is fascinating when you get that movement. It is undeniable at that point. So
yeah. I got that on video. It's in one of my videos from down there, and that was one of my favorite ones for sure.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun nights there. I recently went back and revisited the night that everybody, when we were all speaking with our British accents.
yeah, exactly. I've told Jamie that story before.
That was on your first episode.
Okay.
Wasn't that on your first episode with Heather?
It might have been.
Yeah.
Episode 84 back in 2018.
Yeah.
I think some of that might have been on that episode.
Yeah.
You know what else? You know what else happened in 2018? Right after it was probably the fame from the show.
Oh no.
You know what happened in 2018? Right after that, Heather ended up on the Travel Channel.
Yeah. Let's talk about that.
Let's find the Travel Channel here real quick.
Please. A lot of fun, but definitely one of those things that you quickly learn that no matter what stories you tell, they're going to change it to what they want it to be, and that's all good.
So yeah, I think we got some of that here.
No.
Here we go. Let's see. I think it's at 4 minutes and 25 seconds. Now, Hollywood is, you know, as everyone knows, can do and make you say anything you want to say. So
you didn't say it.
Yeah.
So we were on tour the night that this episode aired. Now this is Most Terrifying Places in America. And this is episode, let's see here, I even wrote it down for you. I don't want to forget it in the notes. Episode, season 2, episode 4. And this was about the lighthouse and many other things. But
it's called Restless Dead, but I actually call it Double Chins and Camera Angles. Oh my.
But it was really cool how this came about. So she gets a phone call. Someone had given them her card and said, if you really want to see something about the lighthouse, you need to contact her. And so they called her, and it was a 20-minute thing. They just wanted her to come film for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and just tell a story or so. And she's like, cool, that'd be awesome. It'd be great. So somebody else calls back, a producer, an assistant calls back and says, hey, what's some of the stories you're going to talk about? I just want to kind of get an idea. Well, she starts, it's called Most Terrifying Places in America, right? So she starts telling some of the stories of the lighthouse area that she's and they were just amazed at some of the things. And we brought some of that with us tonight. We can get into that as we get into the creepier stories, but they were just amazed at some of the stuff. So it ended up, they called back, a producer actually called back and said, hey, we want you to come in the morning. We're going to rearrange some things so we can film some things with you. She said, okay, that'd be fantastic. So she gets up, and I guess it ends up being what, 6 hours?
Yeah, about 6 hours or so that we film steadily. And
great stories, just phenomenal stories. Well, we're on tour when this thing airs. At this point, a year or so ago,
it was the weekend, Halloween weekend. So it was
2 Halloweens ago.
Yeah,
2 Halloweens ago. And our phones start blowing up. Hey, you're on TV. Heather's on TV. And I'm like, oh, here's the episode.
Oh,
so we get done with tour. Can't wait to see it. So we get home. I pull up YouTube, buy it real quick. It's on there. And we start watching it. And it was the funniest thing. What I guess I'm assuming what happened is Lighthouse had control over editing and what happened, but we were able to finally get the word out. There's actually 3 girls there, not 2, but they still, as you'll see in the video, they changed that to be all three of the girls that perished were his kids, which we know from investigating and research that wasn't the case.
Yeah, you had two daughters of the Lighthouse superintendent of construction, Mary Addie and Eliza, and then you actually had a worker's daughter. She was a young Black girl who was 10 years old, and her name was Abigail. But a lot of times when you see it in the video, way back from a lot of the stories, it was always the 2 girls. So we're grateful that now, we have Abigail's name out there, but they definitely kind of went a little different with the story. So.
Yeah, and it's a shame, when you can't get the real story out there. It's you wish that they would take the time to, like I said, there again, the Lighthouse has their thought process, maybe their agenda for what they want to do, but it was
a lot of fun. As horrible as I look, it was definitely a fun thing to do. So
here we go. We'll roll some of this episode for you. I'm going to do the intro. The intro is cool. Not as cool as yours, Rob, obviously.
And Jamie.
A lot of people like Lori hate my creepy voice.
Oh, I love it. It's cool.
You guys have a very cool intro. Can I hide under the desk now?
I want to get to do a commentary video.
Be afraid. Be very afraid. Evil lurks here and here, and especially here, where the living, the dead, and the undead wander the wet.
There's always been rumors that people have disappeared from here.
Wild. And downright weird.
You're never alone in here.
Here on Most Terrifying Places in America, Restless Dead.
All right, so with an intro like that, you would think, oh man, this is really going to be creepy, right? So I'll move forward past the some of the Lighthouse stuff, but I'll get you up to where Heather is brought in here.
Typical Hollywood, everything's evil and scary.
Yeah. Well, you would think, okay, this is supposed to be really, creepy. So, okay, let's get our real creepy stories out. So all of that, as you'll see, was cut and I guess dropped on the floor. And this is what they ended up with.
Whose of these tragic events have lingered on?
I was here just kind of roaming around the lighthouse, and it wasn't long before I started feeling chills around the back of my neck and the back where the hair kind of raised. And I quickly retreated. And that's when I heard the children. And then there are 3 girls. It was a pretty frightening experience. It unnerved me.
And it appears the pity girls leave their mark in other frightening ways.
One morning I opened the door like I have for the last maybe 4.5 years. And that's when I noticed the footprint on the floor.
So that was the first clip that she's in. So they made her afraid of the three girls.
I saw this episode. I remember this. I saw this episode because it was the lighthouse. I watched it specifically.
Yeah.
All right, so I gotta get the hair toss in there. This is epic. And then we'll move on.
This has quickly turned into a roast Heather session.
No, this is awesome. I love this.
Did they have you like run down the staircase so
yes.
they could do that?
Yes, and the crazy thing is I have absolutely no depth perception, and I had worn, kind of taller heel kind of boots for the filming. Yeah, it was pretty scary.
No.
Catching in there and couldn't see the stairs, and they're like, run faster, go again.
But
no.
the worst part was the editing. You can actually hear the tone of her voice change and everything as they pieced all that together to make her say she was afraid of the girls.
Oh, jeez.
I was sitting on the keeper's grounds, and the energy felt really strong and really creepy. And then to my left, I could hear what sounded to be trees snapping. I saw a dark mist, and then transformed into something which appeared to be a ghost.
It was a ghost.
I ran as fast as I could across the grounds and
It's
over to
cute.
my car.
There's the cube, Rob.
There it is.
Heavily,
I'm going to peel out.
whatever it was to not follow me home. It was a frightening experience, and it's probably the creepiest thing I've ever run across.
That's awesome. Now, what we will share with you guys is what the true story is behind that black mist.
Yeah,
So let's get over here.
which is the creepiest thing that I have actually.
So you did see a black mist.
Yes, but the black
Okay.
mist wasn't a ghost. It was actually something very, very negative. I'll let you guys kind of see it first,
Bet.
get your thought process on it, but definitely not a ghost.
And while Steve's setting that up, the cube, the car that they had, that if anybody didn't see it at the very first part of the show, that's how I met Heather. I was driving down the road one day and I saw this little like grayish silver cube driving, and it was like A Night Among Ghosts and all this stuff on it, ghost and a phone number. And I was like, I'm calling this number and I'm finding out who this is.
Absolutely.
Yep.
It's going to take me just a minute.
And why did they film like that? Like, why was everything like these like up angles like that?
I have no idea. It was one of those things
Like,
that
give a
even
creep factor.
I guess while filming, I was like, this is a horrible, because I was literally standing, the camera guy was laying underneath me and
Weird.
pointing upwards, and I was standing like right over, and I'm like, this is not going to be flattering at all. Oh no, it's great. It's great. Yeah. Okay. Learning experience for sure.
That's like the downside, a lot of paranormal investigators or whatever, you think, maybe I'll one day, I'll get my own TV show. And then a lot of people do. And then it's not what you think,
True. That's very true. So
yeah.
that is. And it's one of those things that we love the experience. It's definitely fun, and it was something that, I would definitely do again. I'm not gonna, say I wouldn't, but at the same time, you're right. You definitely are at the mercy of whatever they decide is the better storyline. So
Yeah.
Gotta fit their narrative.
exactly.
Okay. I can't zoom in far enough. So I'm trying to edit this photo.
It's like the typical, everybody knows Zach Bagans.
Yeah.
But like every show, it's like, it's evil. It's a demon,
Demon. I'm possessed.
It's like,
Yeah.
dude, do you do any investigations where you just like meet some friendly ghosts? Casper comes
But
out
they
and brings
say, what you look for is what you're gonna find. If you're constantly looking for bad
Yeah,
and looking
that's
for
true.
this, that's what you're gonna most likely find.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Or
Well, and
perceive it as.
Yeah. And the hard thing too with the TV shows is they have to up the ante. So, if you see something cool on an episode, you have to keep people coming back. So each episode has to outdo the last. So it starts that pattern of upping the ante, and at that point, how far do you go? So.
Exactly.
I do love the lighthouse though. There's some, I went there. It was last Halloween. That is the first time that I've ever been there. It was a day or two before Halloween, I think. And I think that's the only time I've been there where there was like absolutely just nothing happened, But as far as places to go, it's usually something usually happens around those grounds.
Was that when you were trying to stream for one of the Paranormal Soup or something? We thought it'd be cool if you stream live from the lighthouse.
Yeah. I was doing a live when I think Debbie was watching one night. I was doing a live stream from the lighthouse park there, and that's when the cops showed up. And I was like, I'm just going to let it keep rolling.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always interesting. A lot of times they're interested in what you're doing. We've met quite a few over there and had those conversations. So you really get some cool stories from them.
Yeah, they definitely encounter a lot for sure.
Yeah.
Here's a quick 2 shots. Heather's on tour. I'm trying to work on that one so you can see what that black mist was. But this right here is a shot taken by a guest. So Heather's not feeling well. They're out there at the lighthouse, and she asked, "Hey, can you guys, somebody take a picture around me?" And if you can see right there around her, they're all different directions. There's one over here even kind of sweeping, and the very next frame, it's gone. So I'll zoom in right here. And that's the first frame, the second frame, actually. There's the first frame.
Yeah, but it was really strange because, typically my warning signal if something is, getting a little too close for comfort or is not necessarily friendly is, like you had mentioned earlier, Rob, you get the, kind of feeling like you're just sick all of a sudden, you're going to throw up and that kind of thing. And so it was bad enough that I actually had to lean down on the table. And when I did, I'm like, all right, guys, somebody please take a picture around me real quick and let me know if you see anything. And so at that point, this was a gentleman named Jim who was on tour that took this photo, these photos back to back. And once it started clearing away, I said, can you continue to take some pictures, and you could progressively see it disappear. So we've had some interesting things over there. The picture that Steve's trying to work on with our creepiest thing, hopefully we'll be able to share that with you guys. But it is something that we believe is definitely a negative energy, not spirit, definitely more towards the demonic. Yeah. And we have encountered that energy from time to time, thankfully not, all the time. We don't play around with that. We don't provoke or anything. But one thing that we did notice, probably about a week or two before this photo was taken, we had a guest on tour, and at the lighthouse, we let them roam around a little bit, our guests, before we start to investigate. But we have an area right now that has been kind of, that scary area, to say that. The energy hasn't been right. There's been some strange things to happen. So right now we kind of have banned that and said, okay, you can go anywhere over here except for this spot. And so everybody's kind of starting to mill about, and there was a gentleman in the restroom there. And so he comes out, and I'm kind of back behind the swings, a little bit of a distance to the restroom. And I start to see, because I can see his glow necklace, he's heading directly for the area he's not supposed to go. And so I start making a beeline for him. His wife catches up with him before I do. And she's like, "Where are you going? That's no man's land." And she's kind of real firm with him. And he's like, "What are you talking about?" And so he had missed, I guess, that part of the conversation. So I kind of stop and I go, "Well, I'm curious. You looked like you were literally just kind of making a beeline for that area." And at that point, he said, I said, "Could you tell me why you're headed there? Is there something that caught your attention?" And he said, "Well, you told me to see if I could pick up on the cigar smell, because we do have a cigar smoking Captain Rasmussen, one of the spirits out there." And he said, "You told me to see if I could figure out what flavor it was." And so Captain's favorite flavor of cigar is cherry tobacco. So he started smelling cherry tobacco, and that cherry tobacco started moving quickly towards that area. Well, I realized at that point, Captain Rasmussen himself has told us, don't go into that area right now. It's not safe. It's not, that type of thing. So he would not be leading someone into that area. So, we think it was definitely one of those things that whatever's back there was utilizing that smell to kind of draw him into that area. So it was a little strange, but we had a rough couple of weeks over there around that time frame. So
yeah, no, the mist that we're talking about there as well.
Yeah,
I was over there one night and at the van, and a car pulls up next to it, and they start asking questions. Saw Gypsy was lettered up and starts asking, "Hey,
that's our van."
Yep. And so we're standing there talking, and you can see the entire park from where we're at, and see the lighthouse, houses behind it. So you get a good view of everything, and the reflection of signs and lights and windows and that type of thing. And we're talking, and all of a sudden, this black blob mist just sweeps across the park, and it had to be estimated. It had to be probably 20 feet high, but it just moves across, probably about 20 by 20 or so. But it just moves across the park, and as it moves, you could see everything blacking out behind it. And it was crazy. I didn't think I saw what I saw. And I looked at them. I said, "Did you see that as well?" And he said, "What the hell is that?" And I said, "I have no idea." So I started walking out there to make sure Heather and them are good. And as I get to the table, I can tell she's packing. And she's like, "Yep, they told us we needed to head on, so we're going to pack up." And I was like, "Yeah, let's go."
But from our area, everything around us turned pitch black. And we couldn't see. We had a laser grid that we were utilizing. It completely disappeared. I mean, it was strange. Just the whole area was like the power went out, as crazy as that sounds. And it was pitch black for those few seconds. So
It's really odd. No, sorry, guys, technical issue here real quick. Where's the Zoom area right here?
Right here.
Right here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Trying to get this photo for you guys so it's not too dark.
When I saved it earlier, I did not realize that I couldn't zoom in enough. Okay.
Yeah, I've run into a few weird things like that over, in the lighthouse area. And that's the other thing too, when we talk about the lighthouse is haunted. You've seen it on ghost hunters and everything, which that's like been one of that thing that like leaned over the top.
Yeah,
that was pretty cool.
That's cool. That was very cool.
When Grant came to town a couple of years ago, I went to the lighthouse for that event, and sat out there and talked to him for a while, and I asked him, I was like, what's like some of your favorite places that you've ever been? And he's like, "Dude, I'm going to tell you right now, this is one of them."
That's cool. Yeah.
And, those guys have been all over the world, and he was like, every time we come here, it's, some places we debunk and say, not, might be haunted. He's like, "This place is haunted."
Yes, absolutely. I think we can all attest to that one. That is for sure.
The lighthouse is amazing.
Yeah.
To say
yeah, and it's not just the lighthouse, it's the grounds around it, the park across the street. I mean,
absolutely, the grounds, the old quarry areas. I mean, it's all so energized.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's uploading the photo now, so we'll see if we've got this captured. But speaking of the lighthouse and energies, this might be a conversation for another night, but we've looked into some of that. And the lighthouse actually sits on what's known as a set of ley lines. And the ley lines is the Earth's energy grid. Everything large and amazing typically sits on these ley lines, the pyramids, just
Stonehenge, different things
that are just phenomenal. Marvels. Yeah, just really, really amazing things. And they all seem to be on this grid system. They all seem to be, matter of fact, the pyramids are even turned to fit into the ley lines. It's amazing how they are laid in there. But the lighthouse is the area of St. Augustine with the largest ley lines.
It's got the strongest vortex as far as what we've been able to see map-wise. So,
yeah.
Definitely kind of feeds those energies out in that area. So that's why I think a lot of times, you know, when we get towards our 3 a.m. witching hour, as we say, it definitely changes energy wise, you know, over there. Well, something interesting that they've proven in Egypt, and, you know, I don't know if it correlates as far as time frame or time zones, but they have found that one of their strongest points for their ley lines there is between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m.
Really?
And so take that, and apply that to the lighthouse area. It kind of makes me wonder if that is what, you know, is the veil thinning, is that the earth is pumping out so much extra energy at that point that it really allows all of those otherworldly manifestations to kind of, you know, really have the energy they need to you know, kind of to our area, our realm, so to
There's
speak.
definitely got to be something to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool. And the studies and stuff that we've seen, there's a really good documentary about it on TV that gets into the whole pyramid type of thing, why you've never seen bodies in it. It wasn't really a tomb, but the way the rocks were made, the type of rock, it all corresponds with ley lines and energy. It's really cool.
Yeah. Energy
We've
is
got,
what it is.
all right, so I think we're good. We've got this up now. So let me get this shared to you. All right, so that black mist that we're talking about, I'm going to show you the first image of it, and this one, just to show you the height of this and what we're talking about. All right, so
This is the original unedited version because we did edit it to show you guys.
yeah, we lightened up a
more
little bit so you
detail,
could
so-
see it. But if you notice, this is a street light right here. Here's part of the lighthouse area. This is in that parking area that's over by lighthouse.
It's where the gift shop and the main parking is.
So if you look right in this area, I'm going to show you a lightened and zoomed version of this. But if you see that,
Yeah.
the horns, the eyes,
damn.
the jaw, the elongated jaw, almost like a goat face.
Yep. Yeah, I've seen this. You know, it's kind of tough to get it to come across on Facebook, but
Yeah.
yeah, if you guys have this picture up,
And it gives you the chills.
Yeah.
people definitely ought to go look at this one because it is freaky.
Yeah, that's the only time that
Wow.
I run from anything. I will say that. And I did actually run, and that's where they got the whole story for jumping in my car and all that. So it wasn't actually any of the ghosts around.
The
but-
ghost girls.
But that's what I was running from right there. So,
Yeah.
It's about 20 feet high.
yeah.
It's 10, 15 feet high. That's unreal.
And when I say he, but when that came about, the wind kicked up in this one certain area. And it was almost like a wind shear. And you could hear trees snapping, not limbs. I'm talking about just sounded like trees snapping. And so
Ooh,
that was,
creepy.
yeah, definitely. We've definitely had some creepy lately. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
It can get a little crazy.
Yeah.
Looking for.
I was going to say.
They know we're going by the seat of our pants at this point. So what you're looking for. And
That's every show's.
we had, we had, but let's just run by the seat of our pants. We're good.
Yeah.
Everybody doesn't mind. We don't mind either.
Yeah. We do have a really cool picture that is our most recent capture from tour. Well, one of our most. We've had a couple come back over the last week. And we always do what we call putting each picture through the paces. So a lot of times what we'll do is before we share it out to, everybody in the public sector, Facebook, website, that kind of thing, is we will put it through the paces on tour. We'll share it for about, 2 to 3 weeks with our guest and,
What you looking for?
do you see anything, that kind of thing. So that way they really kind of give their reaction before we put what we feel is there. So we're not just saying, okay, this is what this is. So we have an area, William.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to go right into we're going to continue with the really creepy stories.
Yeah.
I know Doreen posted in here in the comments. I think she said what area of the lighthouse was the kind of off grounds area.
Oh, it's
Oh,
behind,
okay,
behind the tennis courts.
Yeah, behind the tennis courts.
Whatever that is actually hanging out in that area. It seems to be right now. And you told the story about the guy getting drugged that direction.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I was in the middle of no, and didn't hear that. But yeah, it's right around the back of the tennis court area. So
Yep.
it's definitely.
I got a little story about that area. I took a friend of mine out there. It's been probably six or 8 months ago now, but we were out there, and we were in the park, like hanging out on one of the picnic tables, and I'm running the ghost box, and it was weird because she, like, all of a sudden got really, like, she's like, I don't feel good. I feel like I'm gonna puke, and we were running the ghost box, and she was kind of, she believes in all this stuff, but she was being a little skeptical with the ghost box because she hadn't been around it that much. And her first name and her last name came out like crystal clear multiple times. And she's like, if this is my parents, or if this is some relative or something, what's my brother's name? Said her brother's name, first and last name.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then we walked over. I was like, come over this way. And I took her over by the tennis courts, and we actually were in the parking lot of the restaurant there.
Yes.
But over, on the tennis court side. And we were standing there, and all of a sudden she jumps and looks at me, and she thought I had put my arm around her or something and, touched her, but it wasn't me. I was still sitting there holding my stuff.
Yeah.
She was like, she flipped out. She's like, because it was the first time she'd ever been touched.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was right over there where you're talking about.
It's been interesting over there lately. That's for sure.
It's a great area. Here's another great spot that we'll talk to you guys about briefly. We can probably make almost a night of this one. So this is an area that we go to. Was very quiet, but really weird and really creepy from day one. Even during the daytime, Heather had a really hard time going in that area just because it was so overwhelming.
Yeah, it was one of those that when we used to live about probably 2 miles from this location. And so I would bike over there sometimes during the day, just to this particular area. It's in a residential neighborhood. There's some scenery there. It's one that we definitely kind of keep quiet as far as visiting, just because it is in that residential, thing. We don't want to cause any trouble over there, but it's always been strange. So over the 6.5 years we've been doing tours, it's one of those spots that we've probably, up until recently, maybe over the years, had taken between 15 to 20 groups at most. And so it was just one of those spots that was really strange. 2 of the groups that we'd taken out over the years didn't even want to get out of the van. It was like, no, this isn't for us. Can we go somewhere else? And, we've had nights like that ourselves where we're like, Rob's been there before. He knows where we're talking about. We've gone out with our paranormal team, before, but definitely some interesting things over there. A lot of historic things, but also something that we have stumbled across that's not necessarily historic, but definitely very eerie.
Yeah, let's get into the story a little bit. So you're on tour. She's on tour. This is a couple of Octobers ago.
Yeah. It was actually our All Hallows Eve tour. And so we're out there. That particular night, we had all ladies that booked. And so at the time Steve was working, he was on the road traveling.
See,
and so
I told you, I was always somewhere else.
Yeah.
Existed.
So I was driving the van, and we end up out there, and it's a little creepy. It's woodsy and that kind of thing. So we're out there, and we're standing in front of one of the areas that tend to have a lot of activity. And we found usually Spirit Box doesn't work there. A lot of the newer equipment just doesn't seem to get a whole lot of response. So we go a little more old school there. So we're not running anything, and out of nowhere in the center of our group, we hear a blood-curdling female scream. And I mean, it was ear-piercing, like it had been just somebody standing right there in our little circle. And so that particular night, everybody was kind of hightailing it back to the van, and I'm like, trying to get everything together, and so we leave. They were done at that point. So interestingly enough, we returned there last October on All Hallows Eve, trying to see if we could have, some more interesting activity. And we were in a different area within the same place, and we heard the scream. It was a little more distant that time, but still that blood-curdling female scream. That group was up for staying and investigating and trying to figure out what was going on. So we did break out the spirit box, didn't get any response, ended up getting some response via dowsing rods and, some pretty interesting things.
Now, this place is off the chain in several different ways. So we've been over there before, and you hear this muffled growl come out of the wooded area. There's been an instance where Heather and a guest actually saw a campfire. It looked like campfire amber kind of light, and there was two gentlemen talking. So this place is just really the hooded Indian I told you about earlier. This was in that same area. The wolf dog, the white wolf dog, was in that same area. So this place is just really off the chain in a lot of different ways.
It's kind of a mixed bag when it comes to some of the spirits you find there. So
some people don't even get out of the van when we show up there.
Yeah. So we're over there. October was the first time we had returned for that All Hallows Eve tour. The scream happens. Of course, at that point, interested, we start going back a little more frequently. And we end up the next night, we have a tour, we take the group out there. And we don't get anything there other than just eerie feelings. We don't get a lot of chatter, that kind of thing. So we have a gentleman there that is kind of funny because he was one of our more skeptic guys on tour. And you got to love it when that happens. But he goes, he said, I feel like there's a guy here. And he said he just kind of describes him, and he's very ominous. He said, but he's right here in this area, and he points to the area that you're about to see in this picture. And, so it's one of those things where I'm like, yeah, it's definitely, pretty interesting over here tonight. I would have to agree that, yes, there's some very masculine, very non-friendly energy. So we leave there, we go to the lighthouse, and we set up all of our equipment, including our spirit box. And over that, we get a new voice. And so it's a female voice. We're trying to question who she is, and we get the response, Georgia. So at that point, we're kind of like, okay, Georgia, are you from Georgia, or is your name Georgia? And we kind of go down that trail, and we find out that her name is Georgia. And so we, kind of, okay, that's a name we haven't heard before. Did you, are you, from here at the lighthouse area, or did you, come to us from somewhere else? And so she had responded from somewhere else. So immediately, did you come with us from the old area over in the park where the quarry is? At that point, she says yes. And so we realize this might be the lady that we heard scream. So of course, the question, are you the lady who we heard screaming the last couple of years? Yes. And so that leads into some more questions. And so we find out, eventually we're kind of like, does that area hold any significance for you? Yes. This is a rude question. I apologize for asking, Georgia, but did you pass in this area? Yes. So from there, we are kind of going through the questions. And of course, with an area like St. Augustine, we became a city, a settlement, I should say, back in 1565. So you've got hundreds of years to kind of choose from when you have your spirits. So we start out the questioning. I'm like, Georgia, could you tell me what century you passed in? And typically, we kind of start with the 1800s instead. And we're 18, 17, 16, 15. All of those are a no. So 1987, she ends up telling us. And at that point, we're like, wow, that's actually, very recent compared to what we typically find. And so then it hits me like a ton of bricks. Just this name pops into my head, William Daryl Lindsey. And he was a serial killer here in the St. Augustine area. He ventured out to some farther areas. But they think that he had somewhere around possibly 30 victims. They don't know. I think they ended up recovering, 5? And they know that there are 2 more for certain that they haven't found, that they have confirmed. But so I asked her.
To tell you how ominous this is, think about this being in St. Augustine in the 80s. There's his picture right there. This is right before he died in prison. He was scheduled to get out in 2025 at the age of 90. But he passed away, I think, in 2001. But there's his picture. But just to tell you how ominous this is around town, his first victim was picked up at a local bar right down there on the bayfront.
Right around the corner from where, we're at.
Yep. And another victim was picked up at the corner of Riberia and King Street, which is right where our old
shop was.
Old location used to be for 3 years. So that just brings it home when you realize how close this guy was hunting.
But the really interesting thing is once we realized that she was possibly one of his victims, she actually confirmed it for us. And so doing a little research, we found that 2 of his victims that were found less than half a mile from where we were at investigating. And so she confirmed for us that she has actually never been found. She's from Tampa, Florida, from what we have heard through the spirit box, and that her family doesn't know what happened to her at all. He tended to target transient women that were drunk. Sometimes he would hire women, prostitutes, that type of thing. Pretty horrific character. And so once we realized she was there, that's when we started hearing from him in that location.
And that was when things really got interesting. So your night, tell your version of that night. That was really crazy.
Well, the first night after we had connected with her, of course, we wanted to find out more. We wanted to try to see if we could help her. So I'm standing up in this upper level area of this location.
It's kind of just the hill in the middle.
And I just feel just a really strong push on my left shoulder. And it's almost like somebody shoved me from behind. And I kind of stumble a little bit. And I turn around half expecting a tour guest to have like a backpack or something that they bump me with. And there's nobody standing anywhere near me. And so I just kind of turn and I sternly say, do not push me, do not touch me in that manner, that kind of thing. So then Steve has an experience the next time we go out there.
Yeah, it was about a week or so later. I'm standing out, and when I go on tour, I'm kind of watching for the human element more than I am spirit, just to make sure everybody has a good time. Like I said, we really focus on our guests. And so I'm a few feet away from them, and this person starts running from around the corner, and I can see him out of the corner of my eye coming towards us, and I'm thinking, okay, some fool's about to try to scare everybody. Comes running towards us, and as he gets closer, I realize he's not stopping, and he's running harder. And so I'm like, I'm about to get tackled. So I turn around and go to grab this guy because he's that close, and there's nothing there. Just vanishes. And I thought I didn't see it. I'm like, I flicked on the flashlight, looked under everywhere, trying to make some type of sense out of it. But it just unreal. But we're out there I guess.
Oh, the picture?
Yeah, this picture that I'm about to show you now.
So we had an instance where a guest got shoved, and that was back in November. That was a little unnerving. And so we stopped going there for a while, at least with guests. But we tried to go out and kind of fix things, in a manner. So by March, we were ready to return. And one of the last tours we did before all
now the guest got shoved pretty hard. That was crazy. That really is what put us on the heels of being out there. The guest was a little angry, frustrated kind of, but I guess those two energies just met just right. And when he got pushed, I was standing behind him, but put my hands out to catch him, and whatever it was that hit him, you could feel it go through. I felt it go through me. It was the craziest, weirdest feeling of that kind of encounter. That was unnerving, to say the least.
Was this the skeptical guy, sort of?
Yes.
Yes, he was.
Yes.
Yeah.
So March 7th, we returned out to that area. And this is a guest capture. This was taken by Chelsea, and we have the back-to-back photo for you guys. She was using the new iPhone Pro 11, which has a killer night mode. I'm like really jealous of it.
This is moonlight right here. This
Yeah.
is not a flash.
No flash whatsoever. So the first picture that you have there, just want you to get your bearings. There is a pole, if you see that to the right. That is the area.
Kind of like a little stop.
Yeah, like a little stop, I guess would be, yeah, that's a better way to put it. So if you watch kind of that area where we've got marked, when we show you the next one, this is literally frame to frame, just seconds apart.
Now this one here, I did take and reversed it so you could get a little more vivid image of what's going on. Because the other one's cool, but when you see it like this, it really brings it home. So the next one is the next frame. So this one's the first frame. This is the second frame. Can you see that?
I know it's hard sometimes.
So it almost looks as if you have somebody running towards you. There's his hand down, this leg is up, that hand is down, just like in a running stance. Here's the longer part of the leg, and here's the top part of the reflection of his head, energy around his head starting to change right there. So I put it into this mode again, and it really clears it up. You can almost see the end of his fingers, lower part of his leg here, but he was running towards the guest.
Oh,
The best we can think of it.
Yeah.
So there's the first frame, and there's the second frame.
Yeah, nothing there in the first frame. A second later, there's this.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it just really, and you could feel that happening. I mean, it just energy was just changing. And we've had several guests see him pop out from these bushes right here. He hangs in this area quite a bit. And every single guest, now, like I said, we let them enjoy the experience. We let them live the moments. So when we go out there, hey, what do you guys think? We don't say anything.
Yeah.
It's amazing when these people have the same exact thought process. It's just phenomenal to see that and how that works.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. When you have people that, you know, they're interested in the paranormal and ghosts and everything, but, you know, they're not like, you know, seasoned pros or anything, but yet you pull up to a place and they're just like, and I've been with you on that and heard people say, I'm not comfortable here. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. That intuition kicks in and they don't even realize it. Yeah.
Yeah, realize what's going on.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's trippy. Yeah. I did a little video on that guy a while back, and yeah, I mean, he was a handful.
Yes. Actually, we watched your video. That was really cool.
Yeah.
He definitely was not a nice guy.
No, he
No.
didn't.
Things. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
But where do you want to go from now? Oh, how about an event? We got an event coming up. We're doing the Jimenez house. You guys are familiar in St. Augustine, there's the Jimenez Facio house.
It's off of Abilene Street, which is the oldest street in the continental U.S. So that street's been there since 1572. So a lot of history. We know you guys are getting ready to wrap up for the night, but we did want to share a ghostly picture that we had a guest get recently there. So
this is the house is 220 plus years old. Amazing museum. If you guys ever get a chance to come see the Jimenez Facio house, it's phenomenal. The stuff that's in there is to the period. It's an incredible house. I believe 13 or so documented deaths
within the house.
Itself. I'm sure there's more than that.
Yeah.
But the energy in this place is just amazing. And the cool thing is they approached us about doing an investigation there. We went and met. We both really liked each other. Things clicked. So we're going to go do the first documented investigation of the Jimenez house. And I've got
exciting.
It's going to be pretty cool.
If people are interested, can they look it up on the website that Rob's got down on the ticker there?
Absolutely. Yep.
Yes.
An item goes, and you'll see this photo that I just shared. This is the Jimenez house back in the 1800s. The house
1870s or late 1860s.
And this is exactly how the house looks now. This balcony, this is amazing, and the house is just absolutely phenomenal. But if you get the chance, Abilene Street. August 22nd is our first one. That's the big event. But we just found out that we are going to make this a monthly thing. We got into an agreement with them, so every month now we're going to be doing an investigation there.
And the parlor night as well that we're actually.
That was what we just found out today before the show. The parlor nights we're going to have.
How cool is that?
So that's going to be pretty cool.
1798 is when the house was actually constructed, and
I want to go.
Here's one of the house. This is one of the many rooms in there. It's just like I said, every room. It's funny they say every room has a story, and it's absolutely accurate.
It really is.
Our event on the 22nd, they're actually opening an extra floor in the kitchen area, the second level. No one ever gets to go there. We're going there with our guests.
And one within the main house.
And in the main house, we're going to the attic, which no one ever goes.
Oh, yeah.
It was the slaves' sleeping quarters in both. So it's just a phenomenal place. It's just a beautiful.
Lots of history, and they do a great job of presenting, the truthful history. History is definitely not pretty, and they do a fascinating job of kind of showing every different facet of life there.
Yeah, they show you the reality of what was going on. Really interesting here. These top right here, we'll zoom in. This is actually ceiling fans right there. And there's a rope that someone would pull and push the fans. But on one of our nights, I want to show you this. This is really cool. Get you geared up for the night. Go ahead with this story. You were on tour that night.
So this is another guest photo. It was taken by a guest named Cheryl, and she actually ended up getting a young child on the balcony, and it's we believe a little girl. It's kind of hard to tell. It's a little bit of distance, but she's definitely there. This is one of those that again is on our Facebook page and such. If you want to check it out with a closer view.
Now, what I wanted to point out was here's the balcony, but I wanted everybody to see. I want everybody to see that's that actual balcony right there. It's in that photograph. So we'll go back to it. Now, if you look in the balcony, see the little face and the hand wrapped around the little rail.
Oh, yeah.
So the first photo had that was not in there at all. The second photo, you can see either a young girl or a young boy looking through the railing.
We tend to think that it might be Sarah Peck, who is one of the folks that we've learned about there. Dr. Peck actually rented the home for a time, and the room that the balcony sits off of, they had that and the master bedroom area. And so this would have been their main living space and where they would sit out on their porch and that type of thing. But she did die within the home of yellow fever, if I'm not mistaken. So at the age of 6. So it might be her, maybe not, but it's definitely one of those that we're looking forward to kind of finding out this weekend. So
yeah, really cool capture. Yeah. Really cool. But yeah, all that stuff's on our website, anitemonghost.com. And then we've got the new news is our new place. The Odd Macabre will be coming up here in the next few weeks or so. We're getting it put together now. See some of the background now. So we're real excited to be getting moved in here as well.
So if you come to St. Augustine, we're off Spanish Street, right in the heart of downtown, 76 Spanish. So
yeah. See us, guys, anytime.
And if anybody does come to St. Augustine, these are the people you want to go on a tour with. You will not regret it.
We appreciate that, Rob. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Well, we appreciate the fun night. Hope everybody had a good time telling ghost stories.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Yeah,
we had
we
a lot
really
of fun.
appreciate it. And we'll come back again.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I've never been in that house. I was just thinking about that, and I'm like, I don't think I've ever been in there.
Yeah, and until just a few weeks ago, I don't think I'd ever been in it either. It's an amazing place.
It really is.
The museum alone, not to mention just the ghostly side, but the museum alone is just amazing.
So much history.
Yeah. Well, cool. Yeah, if there's if there's any other info, links, or anything you want to tell people about. Yeah, I know some people were asking where to see the pictures. I know some people missed the first few that we had. But yeah, your Facebook page, A Night Among Ghosts.
Yeah, A Night Among Ghosts. Yep, the Facebook there, Instagram as well. The Odd Macabre's coming along. Before too long, you'll see Bernadette back here in the background with us. People know us. People know Bernadette's been around for a while. Claude, her loving other half, was stolen on Halloween a couple of years ago. So we assume he's at a frat house somewhere living it up. So, but we have a new Claude coming, and you guys are going to see Claude and Bernadette's adventures. We actually got ClaudeandBernadette.com. So they're going to start hanging around town, going to some places with us, and having some fun as well.
Yeah, and they've got their own T-shirts and such, all kind of fun
stuff.
Stickers.
Ghost Life Paranormal.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just got that launched over the pandemic, so we've been busy. We kept ourselves busy doing some stuff since we couldn't do tours. We got real creative and came up with some new things coming. So, and we got it happening. So it's really fun. We're having a good time with it.
Yeah, that's one thing about the pandemic.
Hang on, Rob. I just want to say thank you, and it's great meeting you guys. I have to pop off because I've got some animals I need to bring in.
No worries.
But thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to having you guys come back and hearing about how these new tours and everything's going to go.
Yeah, we'll come back again. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We had a good time.
All right. Good night, guys.
Good night, Jamie.
See you.
Yeah, the pandemic has definitely made a lot of people get creative. Like, what can I do?
Yep. We've got a laundry list of things that we worked on and some really cool new ventures, but kind of tied to some of the same things along. So you're real creative. So be looking. We've got we've got a board game that we just started putting together. A new card game we got coming out for Night Among Ghosts as well. So and the 13 Keys, we just launched the 13 Keys back in October. That was great. Scavenger and Mystery. So some cool things coming with it too.
Cool. Well, yeah, definitely. Thanks for being here, and we'll definitely want to have you come back for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. We had a great time.
Rob. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
everybody.
guys.
Appreciate everybody watching and hanging out. We'll do it again.
Yeah.
Come see us.
Everybody in the chat room, have a great rest of the week, and catch us again Sunday night on Paranormal Soup. We'll have Katrina Cooper on there again, and she's always pretty amazing. And that's something else you're doing, Heather's what, tarot cards?
Yeah.
Yep. We're going to be doing parlor nights here under A Night Among Ghosts, and we'll do tarot nights and tea leaf reading. And she's phenomenal. So
cool.
It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, maybe we can have a night of doing that too, because we do a lot of cards and stuff. And
yes, also people asking for spirit boxes and stuff. We can put some of that stuff together too for the next show.
Absolutely.
And we got some really cool inventions too that we are going to use on some of our parlor nights.
Yeah, we have a spirit box with you guys.
Cool. Well, again, everybody, thanks for being here, and we will see you again next Wednesday and Sunday night on Paranormal.
See you guys.
Bye.